Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBuzz TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. If I didn't know better, I'd swear my friend Quinto made this plugin specifically for me. I'm talking about the new release by SKnote called Soundbrigade. This is a quite unique dynamic processor as, first of all, is an extremely deep and versatile beast, which has a learning curve for sure. So I apologize in advance if I won't show you all the things that this thing can do because, well, I had it for just a couple of days and I didn't have the time to get to know it as well as I'd like. But I wanted to give you guys a heads up about this one because, I'm a fan of dynamic EQs in general. And for what I can tell from my first contact with this one is really unique. And I can see it becoming one of my favorites once I will have spent some more time with it. But let's get to the plugin. This is, as I said, a pretty complex dynamic processor, and yet from what I can see from the controls, it should be pretty easy to set up and fast to get a good result out of it. A quick look at the controls show us that we have a threshold, which sets the level the plugin will start operating at. Below or above depends on the mission, which we'll see in a second. A tilt control, which by reading the manual I know is not what we usually associate with a tilt cue, but it operates more like an internal sidechain for the threshold. Think about this one as a sort of high-pass filter on bus compressors. A 6 dB per octave is a good starting point for most material. We have a makeup gain, which is exactly what you expect it to be. It compensates for the gain reduction when that is applied. Then we start with the unique controls. The first one is the one called Control Snap, a toggle switch which sets the dynamic flavor of the action. Pretty straightforward. Snap will add just that, snap and punch. I expect it to be pretty useful on percussive material. And then Control, which can be more transparent or harder depending on the mission. Center and Range knob sets the center frequency we want to operate on and how wide it's going to be. We can go really narrow for precise and surgical work or wide for a more broad, gentle action. And finally, we have the mission. And this is where this plugin is different from many dynamic EQ, if not all of them, because it seems to really be able to do it all. Tame, it reduces the gain above the threshold, so standard dynamic EQ action. Control, the filter reduces the gain above the threshold, and at the same time, it boosts the signal below. I can see this one being absolutely awesome on bass and voiceovers, for example, or on the whole mix if used gently, probably. Think about it as an upward and downward compressor at the same time. Pretty powerful. Wake Up Mission, it increases dynamics above the threshold, so similar to a transient designer or an upward compressor. Rotate, this is interesting. It doesn't touch levels, but simply rotates the phase. And this is one mission, quote, I will want to experiment a lot with, as it can change the perception of both fast transient material like snare and percussion, as well as hard consonants on vocals, for example. So it can be a very transparent way to change how hard is a given sound. Finally, we have Master, similar to Tame, but the parameters are related to the frequency, advised for buses, groups, and the whole mix. I will have to try this one myself for some times to really know the differences, which I haven't done it yet, so please forgive me. Then we have the meter, which shows the position of the filter and the various actions depending on the mission. I ain't gonna go through all of them. It's easier to understand just by looking at it and listening what the plugin does. So let's try it on some stuff. As I said, I have zero experience with this plugin. This is the first time I use it, so I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm doing with it. So it's just to test it. I'm not trying to make anything sound any better here. So let's try first on drum bus. Let's try to clean up the low end a little bit. Very precise. Let's go narrow and see how surgical we can be. I'm trying to remove some boxiness out of the kick drum. I'm noticing that the narrow you go, the more resonant appears to be the filter, so pay attention to that. Let's go a little wider. Let's try control mission. Now this, as we said before, is an upward and a downward compressor at the same time, so it would be better probably on single track. We'll try it on snare later. Let's try full band. In parallel should be fun. Switching from control to snap mode, it just changed the whole behavior, the whole action, everything. It's pretty interesting. It's tricky in this mode because it compresses and it expands at the same time. This one appears to remove the sustain. And it enhances the transients. This is pretty fun. This is nice. A little goes a long way with this one. Let's try to make up for the gain. Control mode. This thing is wild. It completely changes behavior whether you're in snap mode or control mode depending on the mission. Rotate, I want to try it. Huh, that's pretty cool. This should be nice for cool sound designing effects. I just transformed my acoustic drum into an electronic drum kit. This is awesome. Rotate actually just became my favorite mission here, my favorite behavior. Let's try master. This is the most transparent of the bunch. I would actually, this is what I was trying to do with the tame mission. The master mission is actually more suited for this kind of adjustments and fixing problem. It seems so, at least from this first test. This is more heavy-handed. That's pretty cool. Let's try it on snare, for example. Let's solo it for a second. Let me try rotate on the snare. It's pretty cool. Definitely interesting for sound effects. Let's try more traditional dynamic EQ kind of behavior. Nice. In snap mode, it really brings the attack out. Squash it in control mode. Let's try control. Whoa. This thing is crazy. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this, but this plugin seems to have great potential for sound designing. Is pretty incredible. But if you want to use it as a regular dynamic EQ, it works perfectly for that as well. Like I said, I feel kind of uncomfortable because I never used it, so probably I'm doing a lot wrong, but it's cool. It's fun to use for sure. I want to try this one on vocals, even though this vocal doesn't need much in the way of processing right now, just to see how it performs.
An end to all the lies. I'm so tired of closing my eyes to pretend that I can't see the truth. I'm afraid that if I open up, I think the worst comes out. So it's better off that I'm leaving you. An end to all the lies. I'm so tired of closing my eyes to pretend that I can't see the truth. I'm afraid that if an end to all.
My level is very low here, so let me boost it a little bit before hitting the Soundbrigade.
An end to all the lies. I'm so tired of closing my eyes to pretend that I can't see the truth. I'm afraid that if I open up, I think the worst comes out.
It cleans up the vocals.
So it's better off that I'm leaving you.
You can see graphically which one are the frequencies that are more present, that have more energy, and go from there.
An end to all the lies. I'm so tired of closing my eyes to pretend that I can't see the truth. I'm afraid that if I open up, I think the worst comes out. So it's better off that I'm leaving you.
Very, very powerful. With this one, I'm just going overboard anything I do, because it really seems you have to spend quite some time to really understand it and grasp it, because a little bit goes a long way with this one. So overall, it seems like a plugin that has a lot of potential for sound designing, transient shaping, changing envelope of things, making weird sound with the rotate mission, which is pretty surprising. Overall is another score for SKnote, in my opinion. So Soundbrigade is available now. I don't know how much that is. Probably super cheap like all the SKnote plugin, and it sounds great. I will now need to sit here and spend a few hours with this to actually try to learn how to use it. So this is it for today. This is it for this video. Join our Facebook page, very important, to have access to exclusive content and be updated on the upcoming series and videos. If you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.